Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
Even if you're just punching yourself down, you're always looking on the bright side of life. And
Unless you're
just
Rodney
making sure.
Dangerfield.
Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah. Oh, God, I haven't heard that comedian in a long, long time.
I mean, he's not punching up on himself
No,
or
no,
anyone
no, he's
else,
not.
no? Welcome to the Comedians and Elevators podcast. I've got my guest, Michael Schoonover. Michael, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome. My name is Michael Schoonover. I'm a voice actor and also a screenwriter, as well as a musical artist and freelancer. I spend most of my time doing coaching and mentorship to other students whenever possible, and slowly reaching out into those. I have had several um, projects under my belt in regards to both small animation, mainly in audiobooks and audio drama. If you were able to ever find me, you can always find me at voicespells.com. It's the best way to find me there, or on Twitter for the most part. So I appreciate it, and thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast.
Absolutely. So you said other students. Does that mean you're learning and teaching about the same thing?
Uh, Primarily, I also work in the public school system on the side as
Okay.
well to try to keep influx of money going for the most
Yeah,
part.
you say it
So
like that's
it's
like a bad thing. I know the new economy isn't going to go that way, but and that's
oh
why we're
no,
doing this.
no, for the most part. But I do help a lot of special needs students, so those who are more um, down on the spectrum a lot. So I help them a lot for throughout the majority of the school year.
Interesting way to say it. So down on the spectrum, does that mean they have Down syndrome or up on the spectrum
Yeah,
because they're like
it's
ADHD?
just a nicer way to saying it. I'm kind of used
Okay.
to saying it through their school method and whatnot. But
Okay.
yes, mainly of those and those who can't, who are paralyzed or blind
Ah,
or any of that sort of stuff.
got it. Got it. So that's like a term inside the industry that others aren't familiar with, basically.
Yeah, in a
Okay.
very nicer way of saying it.
I mean,
Yeah.
did you come up
So
with it, or and you just use it, or
no, no, no.
did you
It's
hear it
just kind of
first?
how it's just being heard throughout
Got
the
it.
cycle
Yeah, it
of it.
makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah, once you said it, I'd be like, I think that's what you meant. So it
yeah.
makes sense. So you ready to get started, Michael?
Yes, sir.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like when at the beginning of these conversations I ask you to subscribe. None of us like it. I don't like saying it. I don't like it being in here. But it's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? It's also frustrating when I look in the back end of the YouTube channel and I see the 56% of you that watch frequently haven't yet subscribed. And I know this because I see it in the comments section. You say things like, I didn't know I didn't subscribe. And that's actually what fuels the show. Basically, it's like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build. And we're going for the long term here. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me. All right. So the whole point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So I define the comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the comedian who's a funny person telling any jokes. So Michael, would you agree that you start as a comic and evolve into a comedian?
I would say, for the most part, yeah. A lot of my stuff in the early work had started a lot with improv, growing up a lot with watching Whose Line Is It Anyway, the British version, Monty Python's, and stuff like that. So a lot of improv helped me get started in that sort of sense and start to slowly get more and more into the comedy aspect of whenever my voice lines or whenever I get an audition for certain work on that helps a lot, immensely.
Awesome. Have you ever been cast audio or visual as a pirate?
Not quite. I am hoping
Okay.
for that. One of
Uh,
the ones I would really love to do is more the Warhammer style or 40K style orcs. So it's the closest thing I could think of for a pirate in many
that's like
sense.
Space Pirate, right?
Yeah,
There
for the
you go.
most part.
There you go. I like it. All right. So you ready for the first question?
Yes, sir.
All right. So it's about the role of persona in comedy. So how much of the comedian's voice is a character versus the real self?
Oh, I would say that has to go back to, well, let's say for example, in the voice acting, a lot of it, we have to usually play a bit of ourselves into that role to give it that authenticity for it. But we do have to try to, we let a little bit of our own persona slip into those type of characters. Uh, I would at least say that's how we in the voice acting industry would play it off as.
So are you alluding to that your authenticity is less than 50% of the content you're outputting?
I would say we usually try to play the idea of playing the what if. We use enough of ourselves of what this character would do in our circumstances.
The reason why I say that
Mm-hmm.
is obviously a technical aspect is
Mm-hmm.
you have a storyline which is in your storyline. You're playing a role, but the authenticity is kind of the other side of that, right? It's the motivation. It's what people are going to read into your voice, your tone, and
Yes.
everything. So where if are you either it could be right on the line 50-50 or one versus the other. If one versus the other, which do you lean towards more, sticking with the script or authenticity?
I would say 50-50. It really depends on what the client will give you for their script. Sometimes you can ad lib, and a lot of times the director will oftentimes say, okay, we'll just go with it and give you a bit more creativity room for that. So I would say for myself personally, we'll go right into the 50-50 of it, and depending on the circumstances, we'll lean into more one or the other.
So then does authenticity matter or is illusion
Yes,
part of the magic? Yeah.
I would say authenticity really does matter, and you don't want to break the illusion too much immersion from the audience perspective, but you want to give them that authenticity to be able to draw them in the first place.
Now, what if it's comedy? Does it change?
Have to really think about that for a second. Yeah, I
Right,
would
because
say authenticity would really just bring in, and again, it would really, I think it would work in the aspect of bringing the authenticity of bringing that audience in, kind of drawing them in to listening to you to be able to hear you in many ways. Yeah, so I believe in more of authenticity than anything else.
all right. So punching up versus punching down. So
Oh,
where do you
punching down.
call
Oh, sorry, punching up.
but which and you already aha, see there it is. You don't know which one it could
No.
be. It is both in some cases, right? So where do comics versus comedians subscribe to this? So let me put it in some historical context. Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
That's actually a pretty good one. Um, I'm in favor highly with punching up with the fact I grew up with a lot of watching some great comedians and comics throughout my life, depending who they
Mhm.
are. George Carlin, for example, Monty Python, Robin Williams, even great, wonderful man of an example of punching up to using the idea of you are going against the grain or just making fun of the world around you and making that sense of light in despite the hardship of one's life. It's
So is he punching up on himself?
I would say punching up. Or, hmm.
Because
I have
Robin
to.
Williams,
Yeah.
if it's a very him in particular, because he has a very kind of upbeat, and even when he plays sad characters that are funny
Hmm.
or not, it seems like he pulls something higher out of them than even himself. One way
Hmm.
you can argue that. And so, in that sense, is he? Where is that? How is he doing that? What is he doing? Is he punching up on himself or is it external?
I would say he's punching up, but probably I would say probably external. Probably it's the idea as we never knew, of course, until far late in his life, that using that aspect of his own internal griefs and suffering have to make sure that others around him would smile and have a much better outlook of life than himself.
So
So
isn't that punching up on himself then? The way you describe it?
yeah,
It's a tough concept. It's
it
you. I know
it
it's
is a
not. You're like you
tough
never thought about it.
concept. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be
Now
a
I kind of
very
think about it. Yeah.
mature soul to do that, right? To find the levity in your own grief,
Mm-hmm.
something most people will never attain, and then use it as a performance on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's the way to find it is actually to discover it as a tool, and he found the
Yeah.
secret. I'm always
Probably.
trying to deconstruct like how exactly it was. How did he do what he did, and is it reproducible, right?
It can
So,
be, but I
uh-huh.
think it takes a lot of willpower. I think for the most part, high driven.
Mm.
Even if you're just punching yourself down, you're always looking on the side of life and
Unless you're
just
Rodney
making sure.
Dangerfield.
Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah. Oh God, I haven't heard that comedian in a long, long time.
I mean, he's not punching up on himself
No,
or
no,
anyone
no, he's
else,
not.
no. So is constructive criticizing of dead people considered punching down?
I mean, you can't really punch down on them any further than they are 6 feet under. So I would say you can criticize them if you like, for the most part. But uh,
You can't punch a dead person. You can't punch a ghost, is what you're saying.
no, you can't. I mean, you can certainly try. I
I
mean, you
mean,
can always try to
Slimer
punch
punched
your
back,
problem in
right?
the face, right?
Well, like Slimer, when he was first appeared in Ghostbusters, he passed through, I forgot
Mm-hmm.
which character, and then he left the ectoplasm. So there was a
Yeah,
physical result of that.
yeah, that's very true.
That's a straight
uh,
comedy.
oh
So, how about the
gosh.
cultural translation of comedy? So, how do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
I would have to say it really a lot of it will have to go with cultural understanding between one another because our aspect as Americans would be seeing something would accept it one way where somebody in Japan won't will go over their heads and think it more highly offensive than others. But I think at the end of the day, if done correctly, I think a lot of it would highly be placed more on the emotion aspect of it because we all still feel the same thing: the joy, the fear, the excitement, and I think that can go in a much better way of doing that. But that's just an opinion of what I can at least understand from it.
Yeah. So, then how does the silence when your joke doesn't land hurt? Physically, emotionally, morally, or spiritually?
Hmm. I think you just have to keep striving. If your joke doesn't land correctly on the first spot, and you know you got that awkward moment, um, it goes back to even what had learned a lot of times in voice acting as a beginner, which is mistakes always happen. You just can't stop. You can't. You have to know how to read the room. You have to know that you have to go and roll with the punches more or less and try to just even if you have a stumble or if there is that no laugh moment, you can just keep rolling with it and have fun and make fun of yourself or make fun of like, oh well, that was a stupid joke, and then just keep going with it and try to reel the audience back in for yourself.
All right, I like it. So, how about love and justice? So, is the highest function of comedy to expose injustice or to make people feel less alone while living with it?
Oh, can you give me an example of that? I mean, that's kind of a very 50-50 type of
It is. It's right on the
question.
fence. So the question is which way would you jump off the fence? Would you jump off the fence towards justice and coming out with the truth, even if it's subjective, or the group and groupthink?
I think if anything, if you have to choose one or the other, I think justice overall needs to be brought out more so than anything else because you love is can be very subjective a lot of times because one group can love you and another can't. But at the end of the day, if a person can still love or whatnot at any point, but I think if you want to bring out the truth and justice on certain aspects, that can be pulled in a lot stronger. I think.
So what if the justice needs to be manifest within your group?
I think with that needs to be taken with a lot of time, care, and um, with a steady hand for the most
Hmm.
part. Because a lot of people can't I mean, it's kind of like how if you remember the movie The Matrix, a lot of people can't accept the truth in their
Mm-hmm.
circumstances. So you can't just really pluck them out of just showing them everything off the bat. You need to spoon feed them. I mean, I
Hmm.
think one of the
Well,
greatest
what
quotes you can always say is you can't eat a whole elephant.
in one bite?
Hmm.
I mean, you can. It's just you got to cut it up. So the idea is about certainty, right? So, are you comfortable with uncertainty?
I would say, given
That's the
I have to actually really think about that because that's a unique
yeah.
question. Um, I think life itself is always filled with uncertainty. Even myself, a lot of times I fall prey to that more often than not. But I think in the end, if you really look at respectful characters you can look at for influence, like Teddy Roosevelt and so many others, who can just should just go forward and just not worry about what others think of you of that uncertainty and just grab life by the horns more or less and just be there. I think you can just overcome that. Or
I
maybe
I
I'm
always wanted to
misinterpreting
try
that.
that. Like go on a farm and like, you're in the you're not on one side of the fence. You got to go on the other side and grab the bull by the horns. You can grab him through the fence, but
Yeah.
is that the same thing?
I
Beady beady
think
beady.
one of it's very much I think the idea of Teddy Roosevelt's quote, if I'm going to try to paraphrase it as best I can, is the idea is not the person or the critic who counts, but it's the man in the arena at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right. Okay, very important question. Advertising and self-promotion. Who advertises themselves more? The comic, the comedian, or the magician? You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here, where you've got the utility and you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast and get the message out today. See you soon.
Oh, jeez, that is a good one. Um, I would, depending on, I don't know much about magicians other than Penn and Teller. um, I would say for overall advertisement and getting yourself out there in general is just important in our type of business, being either comedian, freelancer, and voice acting, or whoever, you need to grow your business one way or another. And I think everyone can do their own niche of how to come approaching advertising themselves and building up their business.
Absolutely. So then, Michael, what don't you want me to know about you?
Don't want to know about me?
Yeah.
Ah, oh, have to really dig deep on that. That's a really deep question. Actually, caught me off guard on that. Um,
It's like that word, that line in the script. You're like, what? I didn't see that
no, not a
before.
lot. It's just that's a really hard and deep question. I really sometimes have to ask myself that is, I suppose, my own fear of not being good enough, I guess you can say, or just the aspect of, well, I've tried, nothing's going through, I might as well kind of give up. I was just the constant fear of not doing well enough or trying hard enough. I guess it's one of those deals I've always kind of have this
I'm
resentment.
resentment towards yourself for not trying hard enough.
Yeah, or the lack of not trying. You know what I mean? It's that little bug which every one of us gets one way or another. That procrastination every once in a while.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like,
that's
oh, I
arguably
should have made
because
that
you,
choice better, or
right, right. I mean, usually procrastination's because you didn't want to do it in the first place, right? It's just
hmm
not a thing that's aligned with your path. And it's just that's why you don't do it. And you're not excited to do it, right?
or burned out from it. Yeah.
Yeah, which means that is not your thing. If you're burned out from something, for sure, you're going, it's not the right path.
hmm
That's what I would argue. So, how about censorship and offense? So, does a comic avoid offense while a comedian courts it to prove a point, like a magician?
I don't think comedians should really try to pull their punches a lot of times. I mean, you need to do what you need to do to pull in the show, but I think if anything, one shouldn't really be censored either. I think, but of course, there needs to be a fine line of when too far is too far,
Hmm.
and a lot of it has to go back. If you do a certain amount, then be prepared for that consequence of those actions. But I think overall, you shouldn't try to censor yourself in a way that hurts you or waters what you are telling your joke or telling the truth within that joke.
All right. So, then who survives better in the cancel culture environment? The comic, the comedian, the magician, or the mudslinger?
Hmm. I would probably say, I'm really not sure about magicians because I have not seen a lot of it personally. So some of that will have to be. Can you kind of give me example, maybe some of those?
Well, the
Because I can
mudslinger
see.
is the guy at the execution throwing the tomatoes.
Well, yeah, we definitely know he's not going to last very long. uh, but I would say, for the most part, I think people can survive with that in the whole cancel culture, and we've seen it does, like in history, come and go in aspects where
Hmm.
we had this whole rise of the cancel culture for years now, and it's starting to just go away and evaporate. And I think people are just getting to that point of just being tired of it. So I
Do you
think
think AI
just
has anything to do with it? Is the fact that it's disrupting all forms of work, thought, everything, and so therefore the whole
I would
political, yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that because of the fact that AI is helping immensely with that, along with some other aspects in the political spectrum, economic spectrum, and the whole sort. I think people are just really sick and tired of what they've been doing for years. And I think they're just coming to the point of just waking themselves up from that in many aspects.
Do you think that like literally like ChatGPT has something to do with it? Someone asks Chat for advice and it still hallucinates and lies to you, and then you realize that it wasn't true, it wasn't helpful, and then the whole thing you've been trying to do in the first place is a big mess. You might as well just listen to yourself anyway.
Um, I wouldn't say rely too heavily on AI itself as your go-to answer. I mean, you still have to do your proper research. You still have to dig or do your proper prompts for whichever program you use, Grok or Claudia or ChatGPT. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to have to be coming up here with your own decisions on your own merit, I think.
Absolutely. So, is truth treasure in heaven?
Yes, I would absolutely believe so.
All right. So, Michael, are you ready to enter the multiverse?
Yeah, if it's always better with the idea that if it's much better perspective than it is in where we are now, or
Well, this has to do with
if working,
certainty.
yeah,
We don't know that, right? That's before
yeah.
you enter. You're not sure what's going to happen.
But here's also a thing too, in our history, culture, and be it either race or religion or whichever, we as individuals always go and embrace the unknown. We always compel ourselves to say, what's over there across the ocean? What's over there at the deepest part of the jungle? Let's go and figure it out. So I think we should always not let that fear hold us and just go, even if it's uncertain, to, as Star Trek would say, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
All right,
You only
then
live
let's.
once.
Do you? Well, I guess it's a reincarnation statement. So, board game Zoomcast, play versus performance. So you have to choose an avatar. So, if comedy were a board game Zoomcast, are you competing as the colorist avatar, adding tone, mood, and shading, or the Foley artist avatar, building punchlines with soundscapes and timing?
I would definitely go with the former. I think a lot of the color and the aspect of it would be like you can still play around with whatever it is that you want for your avatar. Um, but I think if more of the aesthetics, maybe it's just the artist inside me. I used to draw a lot, so I think that's more of my calling.
Okay. So then does comedy work better when it's painted vividly or when it's orchestrated sonically?
You mean like physical comedy?
It can be, sure.
Okay. Uh, yeah, I can definitely go with something that's more of the physical side of stuff because I think
Okay.
that's maybe the traditional of the old school how the golden
So
age was played.
so is the physical is vivid or sonic?
I would say vivid.
Okay.
I mean, well there is. Oh, what would be the difference between in your aspect
Audio
between
video?
those? Hmm.
Just one's video, one's audio?
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Now, now I got to question that. Now you say it as a term of audio instead of using sonic. Uh, with my line of work, I would definitely have to go audio then because you can play a lot more fun with that, especially with characterization and things like that. So I would say Sonic.
All right.
Then I would have to change my mind for that.
That's all right. So did the blue hedgehog. All right. So here on the Comedians and Elevators podcast, we have a tradition where the previous guest asks a question for the next guest. And the previous guest was Raymond Maddox, and his question for you, Michael, is how have you used comedy to benefit yourself for the better?
Comedy, how did I would say it helped me immensely trying to embrace discomfort in many aspects. I wasn't very much of a social individual, so I used heavily with the comedy aspect, especially improv during my early years um, within the theater department back in college and even bits of high school, which using the idea to embrace the discomfort and use a comedy in that kind of format to really pull myself out into the spotlight more often and having just fun with it rather than just hiding away from it.
All right. All right, last question. Legacy. Who gets remembered? Will the comic's tight five survive time, or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
I guess it really depends on the individual, more or less. I mean, there are comedians who are out there that are more well forever known more than others, and comics, there are some really great ones out there that even I still remember in their legacy more than others. I guess it goes back to how they impact people's lives in many aspects, be it
Mm-hmm.
in a cultural way, media way, um, not just through media, but I think maybe of their persona around individuals. I think would leave a much longer and better legacy.
All right. Awesome. So, Michael, where can everybody find you online?
You can find me online in voicespells.com. That is one of my main websites. We are currently trying to rebrand a little bit. It is known as the Voice Sorcerer off most part. You can also find me on Twitter, which is Voice Storm Vox, VOX. Oftentimes, you can also reach me out through many of those aspects. Most of my information, everything can be reached out through those. And I am more than have free booking for most parts, whichever is need be for any voice casting or any coaching and mentoring.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you so much for being my guest. And for everyone, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. If you're interested in too much information like in the network state or Mantipus the chicken shit, check out this video. Or is it this one right here? Well, either way. Lizard.